Okay, so welcome if you've just joined us. Welcome to this session, using mindfulness techniques in class with Blanka Pawlak. So let's meet Blanka before I tell you a bit more about her. How are you today, Blanka?
Hello, everyone. I'm absolutely excited to have this time with all of you, and we'll see, apart from my plan and agenda, where are we going to end up all together. So super excited.
Excellent. Well, we're really happy to have you. I'll just tell our audience a little bit about you. So Blanka has worked in English language teaching since 2014 and works in Poland with learners of English for specific purposes. She's a Delta qualified teacher and a teacher trainer as well. She's a meditation practitioner and a cognitive neuroscience student, and she's interested in neuropsychology research. So all of these interests are coming together in this talk. We're really lucky to have you, Blanka, with all of that expertise. And we're really interested to learn how to use mindfulness in class. So over to you now. I'm going to turn my camera off, but I'm here if you need me, okay?
Thank you so much, Joanna, and thanks to all the team that is also working in the background. Good morning, good afternoon, or depending on your time zone, maybe good evening. I do hope that you are equipped with tea, lemonade, or coffee, depending on your preferences. I am. The first part of what I plan to share with you will be pretty intensive. So I will use your cognitive load for about 20 minutes to make it very intensive. Keep in mind to write down any questions, any ideas. We will have some time to discuss them. I will begin with brain regions. Of course, we don't have time today to gather all information and mention all brain regions and basically their importance. So I will try to kind of oversimplify for the purpose of understanding meditation, mindfulness, and the impact that it can bring to your brain regions and basically functions. So we do know from fMRI scans, MRI, and all technology that this whole area about the brain is constantly evolving, and there has been massive shift in the way we now understand the mind, brain, and all the functions. We keep in mind that meaning that, simply speaking, what was kind of sure and was a fact 30 years ago or even 50 years ago, now it might have slightly changed and drifted. So we are always open because we cannot predict what will happen in the next 10 years and what findings we are going to gather. Without further ado, my first question to you, because we have so many people from different countries, from different places, what meditation is for you? Let me know in the chat, because maybe you are a regular practitioner. Maybe you only see this ambiguous word for the first time. Okay. Right, Ashraf, prayers. Yes, it might be prayers. Okay, that rebreathing. Yes, we have meditation is to reflect. Thank you. So many answers. I would say it can be all and it can be none, depending on the way you approach it. All right, so we have some attendees that definitely have certain experience that. These of you that are a newbie kiddo on the blog, if I may say so, welcome. I will show you what meditation can be and what options you can have if you decide to embark on this journey. We will start with the first brain region that is extremely important, that is responsible for focus and cognitive control. So left dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, with this strange name, is crucial, for instance, for your executive functions such as working memory and attention. When you want to focus, it will help you to maintain it. It can help you to suppress distractions. And if you are engaged in certain goal-directed behavior, it will also be your helper. So it holds information in your mind while you are working on something else. And we can compare it to kind of sticky notepad in your mind that will allow you to remember important stuff when you are tackling the other tasks. What is the role in meditation? For instance, when it comes to mindfulness and focused attention meditation, this brain region can help you to maintain sustained attention, for instance, on the chosen object. It might be your breath, because breath and breathing, this is something we do all the time and it's very grounding, or it might be some external object. When your mind is wandering, this brain region will help you. The next part that we cannot forget in terms of meditation and its impact is anterior cingulate cortex, and it's your attention regulation center. It's also your error detection. Basically, it plays a vital role in your attention regulation and in conflict monitoring, for instance, plus emotional regulation. What it means, when your brain detects that some attention drifts or there is some mismatch between your current moment and maybe desired mental state, this is the help that you are going to get. So we can think of it as a traffic cop, traffic policeman or policewoman of your brain that is directing your attention to what's most important and helps you to ignore distractions. So for instance, when you are studying or you are reading and you are able to block background noise or your phone buzzing, say thanks to your ACC keeping you on track. And the role of meditation, it regulates attentional shifts. So we want to be as grounded, as present as it's possible. Additionally, it detects this error and helps you to bring back the attention either to the breathing or any other object depending on the meditation practice. With a lovely name, to the stage comes insula. It's like a hidden gem deep inside our brain. And apart from many functions, it is responsible for awareness of your body and emotional states. It's also responsible for interoception, so your ability to sense internal body states. So for instance, when you feel hungry, hot, cold, thirsty, or maybe you are experiencing some pain, the insula is your brain region that is helping you to register all of these sensations. And when it comes to meditation, for instance, during body scan or any mindfulness meditation, we have plenty of options to choose from. Insula becomes highly activated. Highly, because you pay attention to your body sensations and emotional states. And as the effect, it can help increase your self-awareness and emotional regulation. I am sure that we all experienced these situations when something was happening around you in the classroom. You know, kids were having too much fun, adults were too chatty. So basically, we want to bring awareness to our emotions and try to be for a moment. Moving forward, two important factors considering any meditation, mindfulness, or any other practice is interoception. And later on, I will tell you about exteroception. Interoception, think of it as inside your body. So when you are sensing signals from within your body, heartbeat, breathing, as I mentioned, thirst, hunger, or even temperature regulation, and exteroception, this is the whole party that's happening outside. So it's what's outside your skin, process of receiving and interpreting information. You might not even think about it, but your brain is doing it all the time through sensory organs like your eyes, your ears, tongue, skin. And why we even mention about it? I guess that you can recall right now any situation in the city or in any hectic environment. When you cross the street, you see the car, then you see some cat on the street, you see abundance of people, you hear noises, lots of stimuli, and we are bombarded by it. So even if you don't pay attention for too long, your brain is actively taking all the signals. And what we do know in terms of interoception, so for instance, closing your eyes, is that you split. You split in the way that your perception shifts into interoception, and it's massive shift. It's this kind of shift that regular practitioners can even estimate their heartbeat by only focusing on it. And why we think about it, because with interoception or exteroception, the ultimate question we can think about is, are you a person that is in touch with your body sensations? You can right now let us know in the comments, or if you want to keep it for yourself, off you go. So basically, you might think if you are more of a person that is thinking a lot and is inside your head, inside your mind, or maybe you have the tendency to look around, to look at external objects, just to perceive what's happening around you. From scientific perspective and kind of average, I can tell you that most people are somewhere in between, depending on the situation, depending on the day. There are so many things to take into consideration, you know, different season, your mental state. Did you have a good sleep or maybe not? Yeah. So you can be overthinker, or maybe you can focus on external objects, and why it's advisable to consider it. Because in meditation, we want to adjust your place, considering either interoception or exteroception. You might need different practice early in the morning when you are flooded by your thoughts. You might need different practice at the very end of intensive days when you are tired and overstimulated, i.e., think about the word that is all the time everywhere currently, so neuroplasticity. So when you deliberately focus on more challenging state, you work on your neuroplasticity, i.e., when the task and meditation is too easy because it reflects your natural tendency and your habit, no neurocircuits are working. And we want to enhance them. We want to keep the balance, like in nature. If you are too into your mind, maybe it's good to work it out to be more out. One important information that I want to share with you is something that from a scientific perspective, we call disassociation or dissociation. Both of them reflect the same meaning. This is your disconnection from your thoughts, identity, consciousness, surrounding. It might be the response to trauma or stress, but not only. It can be also on Friday or on Saturday after very intensive week. Someone is telling you some important piece of information and you are not even registering it because you are tired. And this association is not good or bad. It's just the way it is. Basically, it might be positive because it helps you to calm down and basically not take any external information, because for now, for the sake of your nervous system, your well-being and mental state, it is not good to get down into this rabbit hole and receive. That's why it's not positive, not negative. It depends on the situation. DMN, default mode network, that would be our last brain region that is absolutely important because it's all about mind wandering and self-referential thinking. Think of your brain as a set of highways, a lot of highways like in Singapore or in Los Angeles. So this is the network of your brain regions that are all active when your mind is at rest. You might think that you are doing nothing, you know, observing clouds, having fun, laying on the grass, though in fact your brain is actually working pretty hard. And mind wandering and, you know, ruminating about the past, thinking about, okay, what I'm going to do tomorrow with my students, or have I paid all the bills today? This is all about default mode network. In terms of main goal of many meditation practices is to try and have this attempt to reduce activity in the DMN. Because when your mind is wandering too much, too often, it is linked to higher level of stress or even anxiety. This is what studies have shown. And we just want to be more grounded and simply notice that, all right, the MN is kicking into gear and I'm again in another place. And this is not the moment and place that I want it to be. I told you about interoception and exteroception to consider. And here we have another important factor to keep in mind. Lots of people monitor, and first they mention that maybe mindfulness or meditation is not for me. I don't feel comfortable with that. All right. Now the question is, maybe so far you have been exposed or you tried the type of meditation that for the given state wasn't the best option for you. The same goes with breathing. We have several approaches to breathing. For example, cyclic hyperventilation by Wim Hof. So basically big inhales and big exhales. It's helpful, for instance, if you want to generate adrenaline, if you want to heat up the body. That's why lots of people, practitioners, do it in cold environment because it shifts the state of your brain. However, we can also go with box breathing or slow cycling breathing if our goal is to slow down. The ultimate question at the beginning is, would you rather be more alert and focused after you exit your meditation practice or more relaxed? What we do know from respiration physiology is that, for instance, if you want to be more alert, yes, so your inhales are longer and more vigorous than exhales. Yeah. So like, it's like, I don't know if you can hear me, but you can imagine like, okay. So it's completely different than the very long and calm exhale. Then you will be relaxed. If you want to leave meditation pretty much the same as you started, and that's your goal, deliberate goal, we try to keep relatively balanced inhales and exhales. I told you about default mode network. It's related to a great study conducted at Harvard University by Killingsworth and Gilbert. And the main conclusion is that lots of individuals tend to report lower level of happiness when their mind is wandering. So higher level of unhappiness when the mind is going all the time everywhere, but not in the present moment. Think of your mind as a monkey in Amazon jungle. It hops from one tree to another tree, then one branch, another branch, some fruits, another monkey. What a great foliage of nature, etc., etc. Many things are happening. And researchers found that if your mind wanders frequently, which is about 47% of waking hours spent in mind wandering, so that's a lot. So overall, the study suggests that to be in the present moment might bring you lower level of stress and anxiety. I ask you what meditation is to you. And now this is the moment when we start to slow down, okay? There are lots of approaches to it. We can say that for sure, meditation mindfulness is the practice of being fully present and engaged in the moment, yet with a non-judgmental awareness. We don't label them. We don't think if they are good or bad. They just the way they are, like clouds on the sky. And mindfulness, it's not about not thinking. We cannot do that. It's impossible. Our mind is set for thinking, but the moment when you observe, oh Lord, oh moly, again, I shifted. I'm in tomorrow's classes. Or maybe I'm ruminating about the recent argument with the parent. This is the moment when you refocus, you get back, for instance, to breathing. And this is the moment of meditation. This is the moment when your neuroplasticity is on. And we try to be like a new kid, observing what's happening. If you would love to get deeper into mindfulness, which is not spiritual practice, I highly recommend you Jon Kabat-Zinn. prominent figure. In the late 70s, he established a program called Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction, and it's evidence-based intervention. Additionally, it integrates not only mindfulness meditation, but also yoga and principles of cognitive behavioral therapy. If you love, go for the book Full Catastrophe Living, and with the wonderful title that I recommend, Wherever You Go, There You Are. Additionally, he's a clinician, researcher, molecular biologist. We can talk a lot about him. Though, keeping in mind, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, people knew how to be more present. We didn't have technology. We weren't so overstimulated. So now we can call it mindfulness. Back in the days, depending on cultural background, time zone, and the place on earth, people might have called it differently. And that's also okay. Think about farmers when they were harvesting. It was a very hard job without modern technology. I can speculate, I guess, they didn't have so much time to ruminate, think, scroll, Instagram, and basically being in multiple mind places at the same time. They were just present. That brings us to important regions in terms of teachers' well-being and our classroom, students, everyone. Because I am sure that most of you had this situation that that was fourth day in the row and the same student, the same kid, or the same parent was trying to destroy your meticulously planned lesson. Or maybe during the break, they were just having too much fun. And that's okay. What mindfulness and meditation can do for you is that we try to reflect first. We try to act, but not react. Very often we react. Oh, another time, this student, I really don't like it. I'm so angry and frustrated. How about we take few deep breaths, ground ourselves. If breathing is helpful, fine. You can go with some object, okay, with prayer if you want to keep it spiritual, or just external object. And we start to reflect. You have every right to feel such emotions, such palette of emotions. You can be angry and irritated. That's okay. That's a fact. But what you feel doesn't have to correspond with the truth from the other side, because maybe your student is feeling absolutely sick today, or maybe the parents are in an ugly divorce, or maybe it's just not the best day. And that's okay. So you feel your emotions, but you don't have to react. You acknowledge that this is the state that you are currently sensing without being overly judgmental. And then you can quickly see that letting go of this frustrating situation with your student will be helpful and will be easier because you don't pay too much of attention to your student. Additionally, if you like to have fun, you can integrate meditation in curriculum, for instance, during language classes, language art classes, if some experiments, maybe you are responsible for science teachings, chemistry, allowing kids and your students to observe what's happening in the glass. Can you name it? Does it recall anything? Tons of ways. Additionally, in teacher training, if you are a teacher trainer or you are doing teacher training, you can integrate them and help yourself to emotionally regulate in a different way with different quality. Again, reflect, act, but don't react. Tons of studies in terms of academic performance. So far, we know that meditation in education can enhance cognitive functions like your attention, memory, executive function. When it comes to cortisol level, we don't want to approach it that it's always bad because it's related to stress. Opposite, I would say it can be good and bad, the same like disassociation that we spoke about. There has to be proper level of cortisol. You have to be alert and focused, not too relaxed, because then your brain is not getting the signal that, oh, This is the activity or the information that is important enough for me to pay attention. We want to keep it balanced. And this is the moment when we are slowing down officially. So if you have some notes, feel free to keep them. Maybe you want to wrap them up. If you want to share anything on the chat, feel free. I see that it's just buzzing, which is good. And right now, I'm inviting you to short practice that you can easily adapt for your well-being with other teachers during the break or with your students. We will start with interoception practice. That's why I would like you to close your eyes, if you can do that. Allow yourself just to be. If you want to remain on the place you are, that's okay. You can even lay down if this is what your body needs. We will be slowing down while keeping your eyes closed. Take a few breaths, allowing yourself to inhale and exhale. When you spot that your mind is shifting, acknowledge it, because that is the most natural state of your mind. That's totally okay. Can you breathe even deeper? If you can allow yourself, and if that's what you need, grounding yourself in the present moment, can you try to focus on your feet? What do you feel? Are there any sensations in your feet? Maybe you experience cold, breathing in and out. Maybe you experience tingling. Or maybe relaxation. Allow yourself to observe it only. Moving slowly upwards. How it feels when you focus on your knees. Can you allow yourself to breathe and focus on this area of your body? Simply acknowledging each sensation. Spending a few moments on this area and gradually moving through your pelvis, through your hips. What do you feel? Is there any difference between the left side of your hips and the right one? Can you simply observe how it feels? Whenever your mind is shifting, that's okay. Like clouds on the sky, allow it. It will pass if you allow it. Breathe in and out. And with the way you want to breathe, move to your chest. How it feels. Are you relaxed? Excited? Without judging, how it feels when you breathe deeply and when you focus on how the air comes through your nose and how you breathe it out through your mouth. How it feels. Focusing on breathing, allow yourself to focus on your head, bones, your skull, tissues, and gradually bringing the attention to the point between your eyes. Can you feel the way you breathe? And can you visualize the point between your eyes? Allow yourself to breathe in and out, focusing on this part of your body between your eyes. Taking few deep breaths, relieving the air. Whenever you are ready, you can start moving your feet, your fingers if it's needed for you. Open your eyes and get back to us. Welcome back and welcome on board. If you have any things to share, to reflect that you want with other attendees, feel free. If you want to keep it in your journal, that's okay. That's for you. This kind of technique you can easily incorporate also with kids. Then we would call it balloon breaths or balloon breathing, because I am sure that most of people around the world, including kids, they love balloons. So you can ask your students just to keep hands and place them on the belly. By guided meditation, so you tell them how to breathe in and out. You try to help them to visualize that their belly is a balloon. You can even focus on specific color. And this balloon, by breathing in and out, is moving. You can then guide your students to start to feel the sensation of their hands, how it is to feel and keep this balloon inside the belly, depending on the age, depending on the openness of your students. It also does wonders with adults, so feel free to experiment. That's inside. Now I wanted to show you what can you do in your classroom and also for yourself outside, how to work on exteroception. The first very easy idea that you can also modify and adapt is called 5 senses. You can have a great brainstorm and add lots of additional questions here, but with the start of, what do you see? Is there something you see outside? Is it connected with what you hear? Is there any feeling related to that? Or maybe you taste something because 15 minutes ago you had a mouth-watering soup and lunch. Do you smell something? Maybe the windows are open and you can smell it's raining. This is a completely different experience than dry soil. So you help your brain, you help your mind to shift on the outside. Of course, if that's the goal of the practice and something you want to achieve. More funny is something I call Sherlock Holmes. You can change the name if you want. Simply a box. It might be any kind of box that you fill in with either everyday objects, or if you have more fun, if you are willing to have more fun, with some unusual objects. Either all eyes closed or you cover the box. You allow one student to come and feel, see, check what's inside. And you can also guide the student by asking certain questions like, what do you think that is? Has it got any structure? Can you tell your classmates what's the size? Can you tell us about any connections? Does it remind you of anything? Yeah, and so on and so on. Or you can also trust your students if they will do that, to close their eyes or even cover with some cloth and give them the object and try to narrate the story, allow all the students to be actively engaged and have fun. Now we have a short quiz that I prepared for you. Give yourself a moment and go through these 5 statements. From 1 to 5. And the ultimate question is, Which of these are true? Which of these are false? I'll give you a moment to reflect, not to react, as we stated, just to reflect. And let me know in the comments. All or more or less wrong. Okay, the 3 all false. Thank you, Arium 2. All right, no, all false. Exactly. You've been paying attention, or you are a regular practitioner, or your gut feeling is on the right spot. We don't need 30 minutes. Sometimes 2 minutes is enough. It's even advisable for the beginners. Your mind will never go silent. It's impossible. We just want to help it to refocus to the present moment. Meditation can be spiritual practice. It doesn't have to be. You can be actively engaged in meditation by walking in the forest, in the classroom, allow your students to go barefoot and experience the soil or the floor. There are so many ways to meditate that it's a nice moment to begin and have fun. If you like Tai Chi, Qigong, that's also the type of movement meditation you can incorporate to your well-being and to your classroom. Yoga Nidra, guided meditation is found to be extremely helpful at the very beginning if you've experienced difficulties in terms of focusing on your breath and your mind is wandering so much that it makes you irritated. Guided meditation might be helpful. From my perspective, a few tips and tricks and pieces of advice, if you are willing and ready to use, give it a try. I recommend. Ask yourself a question. How many times you caught yourself in the moment that you finished your lunch and you don't even remember the taste? You were chatting, you were on the phone, you were checking social media, you were checking invoices or emails. 21st century, it might be a curse and a blessing for all of us. It's just the way how we decide to focus. How about one mindful meal a week when you only focus on eating? Piece of advice, chopsticks for some people that aren't used to using them might be a nice option because you really have to figure out how to use them. And believe me, your mind won't be hopping from one to another tree too much. The same goes with mindful exercises. You can do and perform fast or slow. How about just 10 squats, but you do them so mindfully, focusing on your breath and on your temperature that it can be enough. You can choose one activity that you can focus on. For instance, early in the morning when I prepare my teapot, I set my alarm for 5 minutes with this lovely bell of chants. You can set any regular alarm clock, apologies. And then you pour the water, you choose the tea, you observe the pot. This is like my favorite pot. Okay, what kind of shape, what temperature? Oh, wonderful colors, because today I decided to go with green tea, not with the black one. And such 3-4 minutes of activity that you are fully present and engaged is already a great help. Be patient. It's a journey like during World Teachers Day and your CPD journey. Be patient, trust yourself. There will be some days that your ego and inner critic will literally shout, it's not for me, it's totally waste of my time. It's just some myth that Blanka or other people told me, and it's not a fact. It won't help me. It's demotivating because very often some effects that you are waiting for might not come straight ahead. That's okay. That's nature. That's totally okay. Allow yourself and basically experiment. Maybe in the spring, you would love to be more in exteroceptive state because the weather is so beautiful, the nature is calming you down. Maybe you need the opposite practice in the fall season, or maybe after specific situations from your classroom. It's a journey. So I invite you to start. And the quick question right now I have, if you today are going to have your classroom or maybe time for yourself or tomorrow, what are takeaways? Which activity so far you can try and test with your students pretty soon? Balloon breathing or maybe active meditation? How about Sherlock Holmes? All right, breathing, Mon, thank you. Sherlock Holmes. Yes, Sherlock Holmes is absolutely adorable. You can have so many variations of this activity. Yes. Five senses, exactly. Short questions, but gives a lot. All right. Walking barefoot, absolutely. How many times we even forget that we have feet and they can sense certain even temperature, even humidity when we focus. Breathing in Sherlock Holmes. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me and allowing yourself to experiment. If you decided to close your eyes and you felt some sort of discomfort, thank you that you decided to give it a try. If you have any questions or any ideas for the classroom, you can find me at For English Sake. And during other science of learning and mindfulness webinars. Thank you for being engaged. And yes, Joanna, hello again.
Hello. Blanka, thank you so much. That was so interesting and so refreshing and calming as well. I could see from people's comments that they were really engaged, but also your calming presence and really helping people focus. I think we all appreciate as teachers how stressful and how difficult it can be sometimes. And we know that our students are also
Exactly. We
often
are so
doing the same.
multifaceted. We wear
Yeah.
so many hats, and our students as well. How about for some moments we allow these hats to rest?
Totally. I love it. So we've got lots of questions. So let's see how many questions we can answer for people. So this first one is it possible, this is from Nadezhda, is it possible to practice meditation in big classes if you've got 30 or more students?
Definitely. I would say yes, because of course it depends on the level of trust and how you know your students. How about if you give it a try, dividing them into certain groups, for instance, free, and you set one responsible person, responsible, of course, in your vision, the person that has this presence that is able to tell other students, okay, now we are closing eyes and we are trying to sense what kind of object is that. Yeah, so, and like you give everyday object and you simply can prepare some questions. Or if your students can trust you and you have certain bond with them, how about you also divide them into smaller groups, but you are the master of this ceremony? Yeah, I recommend placing your students in a circle, for instance, because then the energy flows, people can see themselves, and it's just different atmosphere than sitting, pretty stiff and having only chair.
Definitely. That's interesting. So maybe like start small and just introduce it, as you say. Would you say to everybody, we're going to do some meditation practice, or would you just start with maybe, what's this object? Close your eyes kind of thing.
And I would answer with one of my favorite statements. It depends. Because considering multiple circumstances, if you work and if you allow yourself to work longer with the group, you know each other. And basically, you know your needs, desires, the state, the tendencies that in the morning, for instance, students are more agitated, or maybe in the afternoon. So then you can say, hey, how about we practice meditation for a moment? It's official in lots of countries and it's becoming more official. However, if your students are shy, it's something new for them. This sense of novelty might shut them down a bit. So, for instance, hey, how about we draw a wonderful picture? However, I would like you to focus a lot on the colors, on the choice of brushes. If you have brushes, yes. Can you use the ink? What kind of paper are you having right now? Can you name it? And then by this guided meditation, they won't even spot that it's any practice.
Oh, I love that. So you're just doing a typical activity that you might do anyway, but in a more mindful way.
Exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
okay.
just adjusting, very, very often certain activities will bring a lot of emotions from our students, and also during teacher training. Basically, there's a hustle and bustle. So if we spot that, all right, maybe it's not the point of raising my voice and trying to shout and, silence the classroom. How about I start by giving them example, and I will just gently show and tell them, all right, I am doing this. I am drawing a circle. This is the circle, or like with the balloon. Sometimes external objects are helpful if children are so alert that they cannot focus.
Okay, thank you. So I think that leads nicely to the next question. We had Pankaj and more people asking about classroom management. So how do we handle students who are acting up or being naughty in class?
Mm, that's a very important question with multiple answers, I would say. Um, Currently, I don't work with kids and teenagers. However, I remember the times when I worked. I used to keep my teaching journal. So basically, I had these profiles, digital or in my real life book. And I would go and take few notes because I wanted to observe how often certain students get naughty, they get angry, how they respond to certain activities. And then, for instance, I could have a chance to come to the conclusion that, all right, that's just another day that, for instance, Betty is in a bad mood because this is what she usually does. So then the question to me as a teacher and a manager of this wonderful group is, do I need to step in? Or maybe I allow her to be, or simply by acknowledging, okay, Betty, I see that you are in a bad shape today. Would you like to talk about it? Or maybe would you like to sit for a moment? Would you like to draw something? So many answers.
That's a really interesting answer. And I love the way you reminded us that mindfulness is not just a tool that we use on students, but also we can apply it to ourselves. So you there in that example as the teacher, you went into observation mode. Okay, what's happening here? Is this student having a bad day? And then you can ask them about it. Okay, that's really interesting. Monica was asking, is there any type of English language course book or course that integrates mindfulness techniques?
Is the question about already prepared course book that is focused on English language that additionally incorporates certain activities? This is the question.
I think
I
maybe,
understood it that
yeah,
way.
if you can recommend a book, or is it something that can be easily integrated, but course books don't currently focus on
I
explicitly?
cannot recall any, though, for instance, with these simple activities that I shared today, you can use any picture from the book and ask students to name it, just to spot some differences, and maybe is there a visual difference related to your feeling. You can use language first as a break if students are not proficient enough. That's totally okay. Simply bringing some favorite object or allowing students to bring their own objects and, exchanging them in pair or in a team. Can you describe it? What's that? How it moves? Can it move? Because I don't recall already incorporated activities. For sure, you will find lots of already prepared materials and PDFs and ebooks on my website. They will be released very soon. So then incorporate it in the moment in the course book that you feel that might bring maybe some difficulties to your students.
Okay, so it's up to us to look for opportunities, but there are so many opportunities. And just with the practical examples you gave us today, that's 5 things already we can take away and try in class. So there's a question from Kariema about your interest in this field. Why did you choose this field of meditation to incorporate into education?
What a lovely question. In a nutshell, I would say I've been always fascinated by human brain and mind, always. And this is just my biggest love next to linguistics. I think they are just in a pair right now. It's like a perfect marriage. And for last about 10 years, I've been practicing different types of meditation, movement meditation, and sitting meditation. And simply, I realized that it's helping me a lot, specifically in harsh moments. And then I thought, okay, is there any science behind it? Because lots of practices have been known for about 4,000 years. And people and all human beings must have experienced something worthy enough to maintain this tradition and keep it alive. And then I started to dig deeper into science, cognitive science, neuroscience, and this is how everything connected. So it started with me, a few amazing teachers that also told me that, okay, we can meditate when we move. For instance, when you bow or when you practice Tai Chi or dance. Yeah, but the question is, are you aware what you do?
Okay. And have you noticed any positive benefits or had any feedback from your students about how they've found the experience?
Undoubtedly, one of my student who is all the time overstimulated, not only because of her business background, but also because her ADHD and certain reactions of her nervous system, because this is the way she is. We would always start, and we start our session by short meditation. Very often she responds that, okay, I feel so irritated right now. And what we do know from scientific perspective and science of learning is that when we are too irritated, too alert, our brain and working memory is not oversimplifying it on the right position, on the right level. So we won't be actively engaged, and we won't remember and even connect certain dots so much as the moment when we can be somewhere in the middle. So I got this feedback that it's absolutely helpful. Contrary, some students need to start, with a bigger bang because they are too relaxed, too late, or simply too tired today. So as teacher, as trainers, as educators, maybe it's good to find some ways to help them become more alert, of course, to proper
Right.
level.
Right, yeah. So it's that having that experience and as a teacher to know when is the right moment to do a certain type of activity. But that's really interesting what you say about your student with ADHD. So that could be really helpful for those students and also teachers perhaps with ADHD
Sure
to help
thing.
focus before class.
We do know the certain about certain capacity of our working memory and cognitive load. However, we must remember that it differs. And before you might have been working on your 300% like a robot. You've done so many tasks, and your students as well. But today, because of lack of sleep or maybe low pressure or other factors, it's not the day. It's not the same. There are no two same moments. So then if you adapt, you might see different results, and it's a journey. And I think that's one of the biggest no for meditation by many people, that they started with focusing on breath only, and they were in completely different state.
Definitely. I think we're almost out of time, but we've got time for
Yeah.
one final question from Hassan
All
on
right.
Facebook, who's saying, is it possible for a teacher to incorporate this into the English syllabus when the syllabus is so full and so busy with things? Is it possible to incorporate mindfulness?
I am a huge advocate, and I would always say yes, though I'm not neglecting challenges and difficulties. I do know that certain times we have to respond to the curriculum and syllabus. Though, think about it, it doesn't have to be 30 minutes. It can be even 1 minute between certain activities. How about you divide your session more or less for two, and after very intensive tasks, collaborative with lots of role plays, you allow your students to slow down at least for 1 minute. Or if that's policy in your school or in the environment, eat a sandwich, but think about the sandwich. Yes. So there are tons of ways. And I believe that also when we allow ourselves to have this dialogue with principals, with Ministry of Education, with everyone around the world, we will find the time, because busy is a decision.
Busy is a decision. I like it. Okay, well, we had so many questions. People are really, really interested in this topic. Thank you so, so much, Blanka. We'll have to stop there for this session. We're starting our next session in 15 minutes. But thank you to Kath, who's moderating in the chat, and Kirstine over in Facebook. So I'll see you all again in 15 minutes for our final session of this morning. Thank you again, Blanka. Thanks again.
Thank you, everyone.